Hello guys and girls, and we're back again for episode number 6. And today I have my man Mr. Bond Fitness, or Andrew Bond, actually his name is, out in New York bright and early at 6 a.m. here to drop some knowledge bombs as well with me on this podcast, where we discuss how important weight training is. Now, each and every one of you know how much I pride myself on lifting weights, not just because it's great for aesthetics, but also for health and longevity, which is the most important thing, really. And I wanted to compare it to cardiovascular training and why how the two are completely different, and why you can use each one as a tool to benefit you. However, I do see a lot of people overdoing cardio and really not doing enough weight training and not focusing enough on lifting weights and making weight training a priority, because it should be up there as a priority, especially when it comes to just overall health, because that is the number one goal here, really, and that's the objective of this podcast, is to try and educate people on health and wellness and learn as much as I can along the way. But obviously aesthetics, we all want to look good, let's face it, so weight training is gonna give you a better bang for your buck, combined with other things, obviously, when it comes to actually getting in shape and getting your metabolism working with you. So Andrew, what's your thoughts on the two, on cardio versus weights? I know it's a bit of a rant, like a bit of a wide kind of open question, but
yeah, if you're married to the cross trainer and you're not happy with how your body looks when you take your clothes off, then you might want to prioritize strength over cardio. The misconception is that lifting weights should only be done to build muscle,
right?
And then cardio should only be used to shed body fat.
That's correct. It's all short term, isn't it? Yeah.
Short term, yeah, you got to look at the long term process. But as you know already, you should let nutrition do the majority of the work.
For sure.
And use cardio as sparingly as a tool to create a deeper calorie deficit. If you hit a plateau and you get in a predicament, just use that as a tool, as you've probably done during your prep.
Yeah, exactly.
And more recently for your
for sure, yeah. So cardio is no different to anything else we throw in when we want to throw a curveball or we want to progress generally in the gym. Everything should be done within phases, essentially, where you don't want to adapt too much to what you're doing, so you don't want to overdo things. Essentially, that's the best way to kind of simplify it. It's like anything in life. You don't want to overdo cardio, just like you don't want to overdo weights. However, as Andrew was saying, then when it comes to the building muscle, we don't look at the wider kind of spectrum when it comes to the end product and getting results going forward. We always tend to say, okay, if I lift weights, just like Andrew said, I'm going to build muscle. There's a hell of a lot more to weights than just building muscle. What the muscle actually does for the body and so on and so forth, we'll come back to that. But cardio, the myth and the kind of I'm just going to say bullshit that we kind of all seem to think that cardio is calories in and calories out. So if I eat 2,000 calories and I burn X amount of calories doing cardio, then I'm going to lose weight. And it's like, well, that doesn't really tell us much apart from the number on the scales. And it really, if anything, it's just going to do more harm than good if you're getting hung up on what the numbers say on the scales, because they really are just numbers. They're not really going to indicate good health, body composition, and all the rest of it. So weight training, guys, and girls, bone density, I'm going to go over a few of the health benefits first, and I'm going to get hopefully get Andrew to chime in and help me out when I run out of ideas. I'm saying quite a lot again now, so I'm going to snap out of that. Anyway, then again, bone density and longevity and just strength in general. So strength, as I've heard myself on a podcast, repeated regular, is the foundation for pretty much everything when it comes to health and performance. We need strength, and lifting weights applies to what we do in day-to-day life. So everyday life kind of stuff we do requires strength, and it requires maybe a little bit of muscle as well for us to carry the shopping, to move stuff around. Just to be a functional human in this day and age does require a little bit of strength. So that's kind of the first thing that weight training is going to do, and strength training is going to increase your strength, which is going to improve how you function and move and carry yourself in day-to-day life. Also, there's bone density. So I'm going to get Andrew to chime in a bit in a minute as well. But yeah, bone density, lifting weights will definitely increase and improve your bone density. So as we get older, our bone density kind of disintegrates and decreases, and that makes us more prone and more susceptible to diseases such as osteoporosis and many other kind of illnesses. But yeah, osteoporosis is really common, and different types of arthritis. So if you want to kind of prevent these things from happening, or at least reduce the risk, then lifting weights with good technique is, it should be part of your routine. Any other things you'd like to chip in, and when it comes to the benefits?
Yeah, I mean, like doing resistance training properly. Let's say that from the offset. Focusing on big compound lifts and building strength. Ultimately, it's going to give you good balance, stability, and you're going to move better.
For sure.
Right. So if you're focusing on cardio, opposite the resistance training, it prioritizes muscle. Mm-hmm. With cardio, it just burns more calories at any given time, right?
Exactly. So, like, let's just say.
So I want to focus on.
Whilst you're on that note, mate, if I can just hold you there. So roughly, again, it's these are estimated kind of digits, but they're pretty give you an idea. So a pound of fat will burn you about 2 calories a day, let's say, whereas a pound of muscle will burn you anything from about 30 to 50 calories a day, per se. So you do the maths, and it just basically goes to show that if you build muscle, you're going to be burning more calories at rest, because your resting metabolic rate will be elevated, because muscle is expensive to keep on the body, and it costs a lot of calories just to keep that muscle on your body. Is that right, And? I cut you off there as well. Sorry about that.
Yeah, mate. That's all right. No worries, mate. So even restricting calories and doing excess cardio, your body's going to become efficient at doing this in the body where you're at, right? Mm-hmm. So it can literally slow your metabolism down.
That's right.
Now, if you train and eat for optimal health and long-term health, you're going to look better, as putting on more muscle requires a lot more from the body, and should have your metabolism revving and moving in the right direction.
For sure.
So for me, doing excess cardio, if you continue to do cardio, you don't do strength training, and then you suddenly veer away from that training or nutrition one bit, mm-hmm. then you might see weight gain, or you may see you blow up, especially when you're trying to increase your calories and improve metabolism.
Sure. Yeah, just to give everyone a heads up. So if you're doing cardio on a regular basis, this is why I wanted to do an episode on this, because what I've gathered is a lot of people kind of, as I said at the start, overdo cardio in a sense, and they don't seem to realize the science behind lifting weights fully. So when you're doing cardio on a regular basis, what's going to happen there? I'm going to say this again because I've got it on Instagram. When you're doing cardio on a regular basis, you're sending the signal to your body, if you're overdoing it, you're sending the signal to your metabolism to actually slow down and become less efficient at burning calories. It's a survival mechanism. So the body only wants to survive, and essentially that's what it wants to do. That's the top of his list, right? To survive, right? So if you're doing cardio non-stop and you're kind of cutting calories at the same time, which is a very common thing, people tend to kind of put themselves in a calorie deficit and then try and burn more calories in order to lose weight. You're then gonna actually send the signals for your metabolism to slow down to keep you alive, because your body is like, okay, so this motherfucker is not feeding me enough and he's burning me out by doing cardio, so I'm gonna have to slow down now to maintain all the functions in the body. So without going too much into that, don't overdo cardio, and use cardio as a tool, and just focus really on your movement. I would recommend getting some sort of wrist piece, a device to track your steps and see how much you're moving on a daily basis, because the most of your calories actually burned are not going to be when you're doing cardio. Most of your calories burn are just going to be in day-to-day life when you're walking around. If you've got an office job, if you're sat on your ass, then the best part of your day is obviously being spent sat on your ass. So you should try and get up and focus on moving. Have a look at your steps on your Fitbit or whatever tracking device you have, and try and rack some steps up. So get up every hour or two, have a walk, go on a walk on your lunch break. And this is the kind of the active. You want to focus on the activity as opposed to burning your body out with cardio. Really, is what I would say on that. So and
that goes down to your NEAT as well. If people are not aware of this, is non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Exactly,
which is everything you do outside exercise.
Yeah.
So this can be housework, this can be walking, this can be taking the dog for a walk, taking some steps in work.
Exactly.
Your main focus should be on that. I would like to promote this because it's less impact on the body as well. So if you are used to doing a lot of high intensity interval training, sprints, it's going to be a huge impact on the body. It's going to affect the way you move, especially if you've been sat down, as Marvin just reiterated just now. If you've been sat down all day, your hips are tightening up, your posture's poor, and then you go into a high intensity session. It's probably not going to be best for you. So if you can get up and move around from your desk, then that's going to work better as well in the long term.
For sure. And just like Andrew said, like what I would aim to focus on is just by making as many healthy choices as you can, really, in life in general. But when it comes to nutrition, the more healthy choices you can make with eating your food, and I'm not going to go into the ins and outs and make it sound complicated, because in reality, as a starting point and for the kind of goals most people are going to have listening to this, it's not rocket science when it comes to just making a few healthy choices and trying not to eat as much processed food and eating more whole organic foods, as I've brushed over on previous episodes. So that should be your number one, and then you want to focus on lifting weights properly, just like Andrew said. There's lifting weights, and then there's lifting weights with good technique, which are completely two different things altogether. And I do notice a lot of people kind of not lifting weights properly in the gym. I used to be one of those, but I've obviously educated myself a bit more, and I really do focus on connecting to the muscles and technique now, which is the most important part when it comes to lifting weights. I would say it's about 70% psychological, so you need to be thinking about where you're feeling it. And without going too much into that, go on to another tangent now, weightlifting and nutrition in terms of aesthetics, health, longevity, okay? Because people do a lot of high intensity. It's like all these fads and kind of, actually I'm not going to say fads, but there's some big things, big kind of organizations out there, such as CrossFit, and there's one called F45 here in Australia as well, which I'm definitely not going to talk shit about, because they both have their place when it comes to health and wellness. However, people kind of overdo these things. They're just examples of high intensity training. So if you're training balls to wall day in, day out, from what I've gathered from people I've had come to me actually for sessions, and they've done this kind of training in the past, it's not really sustainable. I mean, I've dabbled in it myself, and generally, when it comes to longevity in later life, it's not really going to benefit you doing super high intensity cardio day in, day out, because that's actually going to put a lot of stress on your body. It's called high intensity for a reason. It puts your body under stress because it's intense. So you don't want to overdo that kind of cardio. It has its place, just like Andrew said, and the high intensity cardio I tend to bring in for modeling shoes or shows. I tend to bring it in for about 3 weeks, just like I would do strength or any other type of training, for about 3 weeks before the body adapts and hits its peak and gets really good at it. That's when you want to move on, and you will actually end up getting diminishing results anyway if you do it for longer than that period. So you should use it as a tool, really. Do you reckon that's pretty much correct, Andor?
Yes, sir. Use as a tool is the vital component there, mate. You got to look at steady state cardio. If you're going to use that, then that's going to be relaxing and better for your recovery. It also depends on your skill level, right? If you have poor skill levels, you're not moving properly, then you're going into high intensity interval training, and that's not going to be optimal for you. Mm-hmm. If you're going to go and do sprints or bike sprints, you may want to just stick to steady state and just focus on your steps.
Yep.
And then if you are able to do HIIT, then probably do 15 to 20 minutes. If you can do any longer than that, then you're probably not training hard enough.
Yeah, and HIIT is high intensity interval training, in case you guys and girls didn't know. So it's just what I was talking about then. Yeah, some very good points made there by Andrew. So let's just look at metabolism, guys and girls, because I mentioned in the last episode, actually, the brain is actually one of the most complex things on the planet. And when it comes to humans and other animals, it's up there with the most complex. However, metabolism is next in line. So metabolism is a very, very complex, mechanism. And in order to get your metabolism working with you and to have a healthy metabolism, it takes some time. It can take some time, and it takes, like Rome wasn't built in a day. So the metabolism is the brain and the metabolism are the most important parts to anything, really. But when it comes to training, obviously, you need to get your metabolism elevated and working with you instead of working against you. And from what I've gathered from clients I've dealt with, and even some people online, actually, they've actually obviously I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if they've done any serious metabolic damage, but it definitely haven't done their metabolisms any favors from what the type of training they've done in the past, which has been balls to wall, high intensity cardio, and just way too much cardio in general, and they've ended up kind of, and obviously combined with that, their diet's been all over the place, which is actually the number one thing really. Their nutrition wasn't honed in, so then they've had issues then losing weight, and they've just basically got to a place where unfortunately their body is just stacking on body fat, and they can't put their finger on why that is, and that's because they've done maybe not permanent damage, but maybe a little bit of damage to the metabolism, or at least slowed it down a hell of a lot. So in order to get the metabolism elevated and get the metabolism roaring as such, you need to lift weights first to build some good quality muscle. Sorry, that's not first, that should be second, but you need to be eating the right foods in order to fuel your body, because food is just fuel, and a lot of us, including myself, we get a bit too attached to food and treat it as like it's a constant pleasure, as opposed to it being fuel and to nourish your body. So that's the number one thing. You need to get the metabolism elevated, the metabolism functioning efficiently, in order for you to get in a good place with your health and aesthetics, really. So in order to do that, lift weights to build some muscle, and just don't overdo the cardio. Move, focus on maybe tracking how much movement you are doing, like I said, by getting some sort of device to track it, like a Fitbit, and just go down that road. So just don't overdo the cardio is what I'm trying to get at, really, because I've seen people do more harm than good. You probably have noticed that yourself, and I think we've both been there ourselves, haven't we, as well, where we've actually, and this is why we wanted to start the podcast, because we've actually been in these positions ourselves, especially when it comes to overdoing cardio, under-eating for shows or whatever. Me and Andrew have both been there, so I guess you've experienced a lot over there in New York, and with clients and stuff.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue you see is that people do restrict their calories too much, and then they do excess cardio. Now, the problem with this is that if you've restricted your calories too much from the start, and you have to lower your calories again, then chances are you're going to starve the body. I'm not going to pick on the female clients with this too much, but I see this regularly with female clients.
I reckon you should mention them. I reckon you should shout them out, mate. I reckon to keep them on their toes.
Pick on them a little bit. Some may as well. I'm not just going to be sexist there, all right? But there's definitely a paradigm shift now. We're slowly turning the corner. And you've got to thank kind of places like CrossFit now in terms of females lifting weights. So I'm not going to knock on them too much. But I think the issue is that females always tell me that they don't want to get big and bulky. Now, a bulky look will stem from having a good amount of muscle, but also you also may have a large amount of body fat covering that.
For sure.
So to better look and get leaner, then you have to keep your overall calories in check.
Definitely.
And you can do that literally by strength training and focus on your diet. It doesn't have to be cardio every day. Exactly. Believe me.
And I wanted to go
ultimately that could have negative metabolism,
For sure, yeah. I wanted to pick you up. Well, not pick you up. I wanted to just elaborate a bit more on something you said there about CrossFit and about building muscle and stuff. So yeah, I've had the same issue myself, where I've had actually it's all female, where they've been, oh no, okay, I don't want to do heavy weights because I've done it before and I tend to just go really bulky. And so what I try and explain to them without being patronising or making them feel bad is essentially, well, I'm just going to go over this quickly as well, that muscle is actually 3 times more dense than fat. So if you've got some fat on your body, just to make it pretty simple, it's gonna spread out a bit more around your body. So when it comes to people looking kind of bulky, generally that's because, as we mentioned, the nutrition is not really honed in properly, and they're probably maybe overeating. And what they actually saw is potentially more body fat. Well, actually, as I'll say, most likely more body fat than it is muscle. So for a woman who builds muscle, they're not going to get bulky. It just doesn't really work like that. Women, unless they're on a shitload of anabolic steroids.
You're still struggling now, right?
Exactly, mate. It's taking me
You're still struggling to build muscle now. So.
Exactly. Chance would be a fine thing if I could just stack muscle on really quickly. It just really, girls, it just really take it from me and Andrew. It does not work like that, right? So you're not going to get bulky unless essentially you're overeating. So if you get your nutrition just not 100% right, even if you got your nutrition kind of 60-70% right, chances are you're going to get a bit leaner, and you're going to build, as you're building muscle, you're going to start losing body fat, and you're going to be on the right tracks for your well, I'm not going to say beach body, but on the tracks to be the best version of yourself. So I would just focus on lifting weights and not worrying about getting bulky, because that, take it from me, is not going to happen unless you're eating a copious amount of calories non-stop. So yeah, don't worry too much about the bulky side of it, ladies. Just wanted to bring that one up. Yeah, and so just focus going back. We're gonna have to like kind of finish up on this one soon, but yeah, just to kind of again cap it off and skim over it. Focus on weight training, nutrition, over doing high intensity cardio and crazy cardio modes. Okay, guys and girls, because you'll get better results in terms of your physique, longevity, wellness, and just overall health. So that's what I would say to put my point across. Anything you'd like to mention, And?
Yeah, like you said, strength training should be your priority for losing your body fat, and it's not going to limit athleticism either. It's going to help you move better. And if you are female out there, you can have tremendous benefits from it, and lo and behold, it will make you big and bulky, I promise you.
It will not happen, girls. I've been lifting weights for 15 years, and I'm still nowhere near as bulky as I want to be. And Andrew's pretty much in the same boat, aren't you, mate?
Thanks, mate.
And we have...
I mean, a good mood for the day.
I'm shooting you down with me, mate. I'm taking him right down. Nah, but...
That's 2-hour gym session.
No, but yeah, that's it. I mean, lifting weights, I mean, for guys, we have much higher testosterone levels than women. So for a woman to get bulky and stacked, it's just quite simply extremely rare. So don't worry about that, girls. Lift weights, lift heavy weights with good technique, and see what happens. So yeah, we're going to leave it there before we go off on another tangent. But yeah, go hit me up on Instagram at Martin Silva Fitness. Go give me a follow. Check me out. Also, Martin Silva Fitness on YouTube. Please subscribe to my channel. Would mean a lot. And also, obviously, the podcast. Please give me a 5-star review. And if you could subscribe, that would be a massive help. Thank you very much. Andrew, fire away, mate.
Thank you guys for listening in. My Instagram is Mr. Bond Fitness, so at Mr. Bond Fitness, and inquiries to mrbondfitness@gmail.com. Thank you.